This needs fundamental surgery. And we are ready and willing to enter into intensive talks to try and find that solution.
Today in the Long Gallery we're discussing our top 10 issues for the Youth Parliament, and you don't see Northern Ireland tribal politics, flags, parades in the past playing any part in that.
What future would you like to see in terms of the political system here? As you said, it's tribal politics. Do you think there's an inevitable move away from that, or it's just going to stick?
I think a working opposition needs to happen in the Northern Ireland Executive. And opposition's the only way forward to create a government that's going to make change and that's actually going to make legislation that's going to matter to people.
And a government that's accountable as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a real government if it doesn't have some sort of opposition to it.
So you kind of agree with the UUP stance on things, that they should take out and become an opposition?
No, because they've pulled out before any political opposition has actually been put in place. I think it's rather foolish of them to do that. I think they should have provided legislation prior to this before just pulling out. I think it's a bit immature, actually.
I disagree with that. I think that the UUP seems to have got the ball rolling in this. By withdrawing from the executive, it's scared the other parties, and the DUP are going to make their announcement very soon. They're in the business committee right now deciding on the future of Stormont, and I don't believe that would have happened if the Ulster Unionist Party hadn't pulled out the executive. I think it's inevitable that the system was going to fail, but I think this got the ball rolling in this instant. I believe that the system itself is flawed. A power-sharing executive can't work when there's parties who are unwilling to compromise, and that's what we need in Northern Ireland. We need a compromise in the executive system and an opposition for a good future here.
I think that I'd have to disagree with this sort of concept that the Ulster Unionists have done what's in the best interest of the people of Northern Ireland. By pulling out of the executive, I think it's a party political stunt aimed at trying to get their place back as the Unionist party and simply pandering to people in terms of looking to get elected again.
Personally, my family would be quite political, so I got involved through that, but I would not say that young people are actually apathetic. I think they're not given the chance to have their voices heard, and if you actually listen to them, they have a fair amount to say about what's going on at the minute.
I wouldn't say that there's apathy towards politics. Young people do understand the big issues. If you take the refugee crisis at the moment, for example, my Facebook wall is filled with people from my year talking about the refugee crisis and how horrified they are by what they're seeing. And they are listening to the news, they are watching the news, talking about this in class. Someone was able to tell us all how many migrants Germany's going to take in, and it's like, didn't think that person would know that, but they watched the news, they were looking into it. So it's the stigma in the media almost that doesn't display young people involved in politics.
Often the media, including some politicians alike, they sometimes stereotype the youth for being disengaged and interested, and to some responses I've heard, they'll all vote for the likes of Russell Brand if he ever stands for election. But that is not true. Young people actually watch the news, because I remember when I was in secondary school in Fort Hill, I actually gave a lecture to my class about the EU and about why we should get out because of research and news stories, and they were actually interested. They were asking questions, they were debating it, and young people do have a voice, they do, but I would say for it, yes, it can go ahead, but we must have some political education in the curriculum. Learning for life and work is good, but we need more political education where it's unbiased. It should be basic political education, and if we get that in, I reckon votes at 16 will be possible.
It's always the same. It's, transport. It's services not near where I live, it's schools too far away, broadband doesn't work, I've got no phone signal. You see, this is a problem. This is why people are apathetic of the politicians. Because why can't you just go and sort it out? We pay you 50 grand a year, we pay 106 MLAs, was it 46 or something like that grand a year? Well, we used to have the old Stormont, which wasn't too good, but there was only 52 of them. So, it's all of these kind of small issues that can be solved, but it's just about investing people, and not just about, you know, people, the young people coming to the cities. It's about everywhere. I think we need a lot more kind of devolution to our local councils, especially, and more money pumped into, you know, regional development.
I just hope the future is bright for Northern Ireland, but see, with everything going on at the minute, I don't think it's going to be achieved very well. It's not going to be achieved anytime soon. You know, we're just going to have the same fights, the same arguments within our assembly day in, day out, and if our generation doesn't change that, then I don't know what will.